we're going to start with this. Just a few hours ago, another Israeli strike on the Syrian-Iraqi border. 7 Iranian militias were killed in the Imam Ali next to the city of Al-Bukamal. We talked about it last week. I showed you on the map what this one is all about. A few days ago, we celebrated 72 years to the day that Israel was basically I'm talking about the Latin date on the Latin calendar of Israel's Declaration of Independence, which is the day that President Truman pledged the support in the newborn state of Israel. And we'll talk about it in a few minutes because he won't believe the opposition that he had from home for that move. That same day, Pope Francis was holding a meeting of Muslim, Jews, Hindus, Sikh, all religions to pray together as one. In fact, allow me to show you, Higher Committee of Human Fraternity calls for a day of prayer. Look at all of that. One, definitely a leader of something that can definitely look like on a future one world religion. Pope invites everyone to pray on May 14 for the end of the pandemic, and we see that. Of course, that happened, and we can clearly connect that to the spirit of the topic of this update, which is the New World Order. Let me explain, folks, that there's also more things that happened, and then I'll go to our topic. But everything is really connected, and I want you to know. And this is, if there's one thing I want you to take home with you, is the fact that everything that is happening around the world is basically the struggle between the truth of God and the lies of the enemy. And many times we as believers, we tend to not pay attention which is what. And because we are easily being swayed by our emotions and false information. That's why we have to be very, very careful. I told you last time that the enemy is enjoying feeding both sides and enjoying seeing the chaos all around. And I'll give you an example. The mayor of Chicago, we know Lightfoot, Mayor Lightfoot. She's all over the internet right now, as if she pledged allegiance to the New World Order about wearing masks and about all the pandemic thing. Now let me tell you something. She did mention New World Order, but she didn't even talk about COVID-19. The interview was from March of 2019. Way before that, she talked about her own domestic legislation of her own city, but she did use New World Order. In fact, if you want, I can play it for you so you'll understand what she said. Listen to what she said.
Impacted by planning, certainly, and you pick the people who run those agencies and the deputies that are pledging allegiance to the New World Order and good governance, and then I think you have the Inspector General do some spot audits to make sure that there is real compliance.
She's not talking about coronavirus. She's not even talking about wearing masks. She's talking about the aldermanic prerogative that isn't a law or actual rule, but it turned into a law or a rule in her city. She says, we can't go on like that. She did mention New World Order. Absolutely. Does she know what it means? I'm not sure, but she mentioned that. And by the way, because she did that, she spoke a year and 2 months ago, way before she was elected. And even after she elected, she gave another speech, almost the same, using the same term, but it has nothing to do with a pandemic. But she used that. So look what happens. Facebook covers genuine video of Chicago mayors supporting New World Order with false fact check. Isn't that interesting? Facebook said she never said that. But we have the video. She did say that. What basically is going on is people mix two things together. She said that about something else. People put that online as if she said that regarding the pandemic. And all of that together created some sort of a climate for Facebook to cover everything as false. And we'll talk about how Facebook is now literally censoring everything that you are seeing and hearing. And that is another sign of the New World Order. No longer you have the choice to choose what you want. Now somebody is deciding for you. In fact, this morning I took my son Elad to school. That's his first school day after 2.5 months. And our son Elon, the little one, I took him to school. We cannot send our children to school today without filling up a form and without filling up an electronic form on the app that basically says that we agree to send him to school. We actually approve, and we basically declare that he has no high temperature, that he's not sick with no symptoms or anything. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm thinking to myself, I'm taking my own kids to their school. And here I am. I have to put my name. I have to declare something. I have to commit to something on paper, online. Everywhere you go to now, they take your name. They put your name down. It's unbelievable what is going on. New World Order. And we'll talk about what New World Order means in a few seconds. I will also tell you, folks, that Israel, of course, as of yesterday, finally has a government after 507 days without a stable government, with an interim government, because there were 3 election rounds and the waiting period between each. Altogether, almost 1.5 years of chaos finally came to an end. We have a unity government. Prime Minister Netanyahu is heading the first 1.5 years, heading the government. Benny Gantz, General Benny Gantz, will be heading the second term of 1.5 years. And in the last year, they might also change between themselves. We'll see how it works. One thing is for sure, big blow to those who hate Netanyahu, wants Netanyahu in jail, and wants Netanyahu out, and try and promise he will never be the prime minister. That's it. Benjamin Netanyahu is the next prime minister. He is already the acting, and he's also the official prime minister of Israel. This is a large government. We try to appease everyone out of the 70-something coalition members. But I want to tell you something. If there is one thing apart from the coronavirus that we need to deal with, is the next move of annexation of the Jordan Valley, the northern part of the Dead Sea, and the Israeli settlements in the West Bank. And I want to tell you something. I was shocked to find out that the king of Jordan said it will deteriorate the relationship between the two countries. Europe is now threatening Israel with crippling sanctions, they said. And then the secret weapon of the globalists is the International Criminal Court. And America instantly was issuing a declaration. Secretary Pompeo said to the ICC, if you are going to push illegitimate trial or prosecution toward about Israeli, the Israeli presence in the West Bank, we are basically we are not going to allow that to happen. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to me that you understand that there's a lot of deception that is going on here. Now, why am I mentioning all of this? This is super important that you understand, folks. Why am I mentioning all of that? I'm mentioning all of this because this is exactly what happened to President Truman in 1948. In 1948, President Truman, Harry Truman, had George Marshall as his Secretary of State, and he had his delegation in the UN, and he has envoys to the UN, envoys to the Middle East. All of them strongly opposed. All of them strongly opposed the establishment of the State of Israel. Strongly opposed. President Truman, as the U.S. president, had to fight his own people, and he found out that they are secretly behind the scene promoting other deals to push the Declaration of Independence and the acknowledgement of America in the newborn state. And I'm reading from his memoirs. This morning, he said, I find that the State Department has reversed my Palestine policy. Remember, Israel was not yet called Israel. It was still called Palestine until the day of its independence, when Ben Gurion changed it back to Israel. And he says, the first I know about it was what I see in the papers. Isn't that hell? I'm now in a position of a liar and a double crosser. I never felt so in my life. There are people on the third and fourth level of the State Department who have always wanted to cut my throat. They are succeeding in doing it. Yet, you understand what the US president wrote about his own deep state in his own State Department regarding the establishment of the State of Israel. And it's interesting because they pushed so hard, and the day it happened, look what happened. Look, and they brought experts. They even brought the ex-president of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, a pacifist named Judah Magnus, an American-born president of the Hebrew University. And he told that we must stop the Jewish war machine in Palestine. He even suggested that the Jews shouldn't have more than just a little strip along the coastline from Tel Aviv to Haifa. I mean, horrible, horrible people. And President Truman did not sway. And let me tell you something, and I'm reading, when at 6:11 p.m., the White House spokesman Charlie Ross announced the president's de facto recognition of the State of Israel, the U.S. delegation to the UN was dumbfounded. And when I use the word pandemonium, I'm not exaggerating, someone said. Ladies and gentlemen, it took a strong, resilient president, even against his own deep state, to do the right thing, the biblical thing, the truth was ringing, and the godly thing, and to recognize Israel as a state. And that is when Psalm 83 came to pass, when all the Arab nations came against us to cut us off from being a nation, that the name of Israel will be remembered no more. We just turned the name from Palestine to Israel, and they wanted the name of Israel to be completely cut off. And it's important to see that, because, I mean, literally 70 years later, that was 48, 2018, ladies and gentlemen, President Donald Trump, in every rally says, he tells the whole story of how all the world leaders called him, or tried to call him, tried to get him not to move the embassy to Jerusalem, not to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And he said, I'm busy, I'll get back to you, I'm busy, I'll get back to you. And he got back to them after he did it. The pressure was enormous. It takes one president in a generation to be so strong and so resilient to make the right decisions. And now comes the point, after that, President Trump did amazing things. He acknowledged the Golan Heights as Israel. He acknowledged the legality of the Jewish settlements in the West Bank. He abolished the agreement with Iran. He acknowledged Israel's right to be in the Jordan Valley, in all of those places. Look, he did for us more than we expected or even asked. Now comes the last phase, and that's the annexation of those parts of our ancestral homeland. And we couldn't do it because there was no government in Israel for the last year and a half. But there is one right now. Prime Minister Netanyahu made it very clear, we're going to do it. The U.S. ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, said, look, it's going to happen in a few weeks because we can't wait for the Palestinians to change their ways. Remember what I said last week, they'll never be Canadians. And I can tell you folks, Secretary Pompeo was here a few days ago, and Prime Minister Netanyahu talked to him about it. And there is a silent agreement on behalf of America to allow Israel to do this annexation. And now, I mean, the ICC and Jordan and the EU, they're all threatening, just like they did, like the enemy did to President Truman and the enemy did to President Trump. They're trying to do the same thing right now. But we cannot sway. We cannot be afraid. We must do the right thing. Look, the Bible is very clear about to whom the land belongs. The Bible is very clear about to whom Jerusalem belongs. The Bible is very clear what is the real or original and legal name of the land is Israel. It's very simple. And I will tell you something. I watched this morning a video from Lebanon. A video from Lebanon where a Lebanese writer on a morning TV show said, we tried to kill Israel, destroy Israel, and fight Israel, but the GDP of Lebanon is $360 a person when the Israelis are $3,600, 10 times more. We need to learn from them. The human dignity is not about land, it's about how much do you make in order to provide for your family. It says, we want to destroy the wrong people. These people can teach us. They are a great state. Look, I'm talking about the Lebanese and the TV hostess. She almost got a heart attack when she heard that. And this is not the first thing. I've been watching what's going on and what's coming from Saudi Arabia and from Oman and from Qatar and from the Emirates. I'm dumbfounded, folks. Saudis, writers and historians and poets, one after the other, coming out of the closet in a sense, and acknowledge few things. First of all, they acknowledge that the Palestinians are the problem. Second, they acknowledge that all the Palestinian issue was an invention to actually eradicate Israel. Third, they acknowledge that Jerusalem is not a Muslim place. They said, look, Al-Aqsa is actually a place next to Medina and Mecca. That's why Jerusalem is not even mentioned in the Quran even one time. It's all wrong. They got it wrong in order to get political gain. The third, I mean, Jerusalem belongs to the Jewish people. Listen, I'm hearing that from Saudi Muslims on TV. Now, the change is not coming from above, from the state media. You know where the change is coming from? From the grassroots, from the social media. Look, we're now, you and me, we're on social media right now. This is social media. That's not a TV station. No TV station will allow what I say right now to be said. The truth seekers can find truth on social media, at least until now. And now, because of so much truth that is being exposed and so much, I would say, so many eyes open to what is really going on here, guess why I believe we are already in the new world order. Ladies and gentlemen, you must understand something very, very important. What is a new world order? Let's try to analyze it. New world order has something to do with the world, had something to do with the way the world goes on, the order, and has something to do with trying to change it to something new. Now, I'm trying to think about the Bible because I don't care about anything else. I'll go back to the scriptures, and I see that from the get-go of mankind, they preferred a new world order, which means if God made everything perfect for them, and he did, everything was super perfect, and he said, guys, these animals will listen to you, these trees will yield fruit for you, everything is yours, take dominion. Inherit the land. It's yours. He gave them blessing, seed, and land. There's only one thing. Don't touch. And they wanted a new world order. They wanted the one thing they shouldn't touch. Because what God says is nice, and the way he created everything is wonderful, but we want something new. The serpent, Satan, introduced it in a very cunning way, as you remember. Look, don't listen. You will not surely die. In fact, when you eat from that fruit, your eyes will be open. In fact, if I can give it any analogy, you will see the light. The reason why you don't see the light is because you don't try this fruit. You want to try this fruit? You want to see the light? You want your eyes to be open? You want to be smart? Take it. And let me tell you, folks, that from that moment, sin came to the world, but the world is still moving more or less by the order of countries, borders, languages. We all know that. When, I'm always reminded of what Paul taught the people of Athens, those very, very, very smart people. In the book of Acts, in the middle of Athens, Paul is telling them this. He says in verse 26 of chapter 17, he says, God has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on the face of the earth. And look what he said, and he has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings. In other words, God appointed boundaries, people, languages, ethnicities, all of that. Now, what's the New World Order? The New World Order is very, very, very simple. Listen to this. We don't want governments. We don't want nationality. We don't want borders. We don't want flags. We don't want different currencies. We don't want different religions. It's very interesting. The New World Order is a race to bring about a new leadership that is not of politicians, a leadership that is wiser. They've seen the light. They know better. Of small group of industrialists and bankers, and they will basically rule the world, have a person who will do that for them. Borders, languages, different money, different religions will no longer exist. We have to abolish borders. Illegal immigration is not held illegal. Borders are no longer, they don't matter anymore. And we're gonna try and do that. We'll show you that borders mean nothing. And it's interesting because you saw that they tried and tried and tried. They tried so many times. Almost every generation they tried something. Wars and world wars. And then came the climate change. And then came some religious things. And, you're talking about security things and terrorist actions and horrible things that befell the world. And yet nothing caused the world to act as one unit. We've reached the point where we see two things that just happened in the last 2-3 months. One, for the first time, the entire planet Earth is actually as one. My problem is the problem of Rwanda, is the problem of India, is the problem of Saudi Arabia, is the problem of Indonesia, is the problem of Canada, is the problem of Philippines and Japan. I don't have a different problem. I used to have different problems. I used to have war with the Palestinians. I used to have war with this or war with that. I don't have it anymore. Now my problem is their problem. For the first time, we've got a global issue that borders mean nothing here. For the first time, there is a non-elected body, wasn't elected by me or by my own people, that is issuing recommendation. I'm talking about the World Health Organization, that all the governments all around the world are dancing to the rhythm. Look, I've been watching their daily updates. You know how many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are watching? Now, you and I are in the business of Bible prophecy. We're in the business of studying the scriptures. We can see through all of that. But we are such a small minority. I want you to understand. The world is glued to the screen. The world is eating from the hand of the World Health Organization. Everything they said is being taken as a law given from Sinai to the people. And let me explain, folks, if that's not enough, not only that everything the World Health Organization is saying has to be the truth, the big tech giants such as Google and Facebook and Twitter, they are now operating censorship that you will not even hear any other opinion. That everything that they believe that is not for you to know, that is not following the narrative of that unelected international body, will not even come to you. We are at the point that they are taking people to censorship committees, and all the people they take belong to the globalist agenda of different religions and different ideas, but they all belong to the globalist agenda, which is scary if you think about it. They're using artificial intelligence right now. Smart people created stupid robots and stupid computers. Now the stupid is the people. It's going to be smart computers that are creating stupid people. They learn what you think, the way you think, and they deliver. And before you know it, you dance to their rhythm. And why? It's all in the name of survival. They're telling you, in order to survive, you have to comply with this. In order to survive, you have to do this. In order to survive, you have to do that. This is amazing. Look, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I've been talking about New World Order for the longest time, about the Illuminati, about the globalists, about the one world. I've talked about it for many years. You can go online and find it. But I have never seen such a flood of articles using the terms New World Order. Let me show it to you. So this is one. Excuse me. No, not this one. I'm talking about, excuse me. This is one. Here it is. The coronavirus butterfly effect, 6 predictions for a new world order. All right. Let's continue, folks. Let's do this. Who will build the new world order? And let's do this. The EU has to broaden its alliance to shape the new world order. Let's do this right now. What does it say here? Let me take off the other one. Let's face it, the new world order has arrived. They're already acknowledging that. Then another one that they say is this. Look at this one, folks. And I will take off this one for you so you see it. Coronavirus, who will be winners and losers in the new world order? And if that's not enough, one more. You can clearly see COVID-19 is writing a new world order. If that's not enough, ladies and gentlemen, Bank of America on the new world order, bigger governments, tech wars, less privacy and health, the new wealth. If that's not enough, ladies and gentlemen, don't worry, there's plenty. There is how to survive the new world order, and that's in Africa. Let's look at this one, COVID-19, how COVID-19 could shape a new world order. If that's not enough, there's this one. This one is in, if I'm not mistaken, in India. We must invent a new world order now to stop COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, and if you think this is not enough, why don't you just flip your dollar bill and see this? It says, Anuit Queptis, and I'll talk about it, successful undertaking. And underneath, Novus Ordo Seculorum. Novus Ordo Seculorum. New order of the generations. New world order, basically. You see the unfinished pyramid, 13 layers. There are 13 families that control this elite, global elite. The all-seeing eye on the very, very top. Look, the effort to bring a new world order is not a new effort. It's an effort that has been going on for the longest time. Again, I believe from Genesis. From Genesis chapter 3 and on, we see that mankind, once sin entered the world, and the spirit of that rebellion enter the world, they don't want the orders of God. So they will change everything. They'll change the definition of family, the definition of gender, the definition of borders, the definition of nationality, the definition of languages, the definition of religion. They will change everything. Because in the new world order, if they want complete control over you, they must have it all under one world government. They must have a one world religion, and they must somehow consolidate the economy to be a one world economy. And the reason why I say that we just entered into the new world order is very simple. Look, we don't have yet the one world economy, and we don't have yet the we maybe not have yet the one world religion. We're going there. I mean, Pope Francis is becoming the host of all religions, and they don't even talk about Jesus. Pope Francis is not sharing Jesus with them. They're not talking about the salvation. They're not talking about redemption. They're praying together, holding hands together, kumbaya. We are the world. That's it. But I want to tell you, folks, that the new world order is already here because all the governments submitted willingly all the residents of their countries to orders coming from a central committee somewhere in Europe. And I'm telling you, folks, what we had before 2020 began will not come back again. Now comes a very, I know that what I'm going to say right now is going to get me in trouble, and some of you will be super angry with me, but I'll say it. They are enjoying seeing the fight about vaccination. You know what they do? Look what they say. They say, look, there's a new world order and there is a new reality where we can't afford this virus to spread. It's still around. So unless you're vaccinated, we won't be able to get you on a plane or to get you to visit other countries. And by the way, I'm not sure if it's a vaccination or it's just a test, because if I have antibodies, which means I had the coronavirus and I'm immune to it, I don't need a vaccination. But I need you to understand, folks, the enemy is very smart. The enemy knows how Christians think also. And the enemy will convince hundreds of thousands of Christians, hey, don't take this vaccination because it's like a one step closer to the mark of the beast. And then if a new wave will come, it won't really help them here. On the other hand, you've got those who are pushing the vaccination, but they want to push the vaccination not for your own good necessarily, because they want to make money. Look, if it's all about money, they're not trying to kill you as much as make money on you by ways of, look, Fauci and others are just trying to make money on you. I believe that the real evil people above them enjoy both pushing the vaccination and seeing the people and feeding the people with lies about the vaccination. And now let me explain something. And you need to calm down and stay open. Should vaccination be mandatory? You must understand that, and I'm not talking about America right now. Let's say vaccination is mandatory in the Israeli military, okay? Israel, once finding out that there is a vaccination, we don't want coronavirus to spread fast in the Israeli submarines, the Israeli naval ships, and the Israeli Air Force. We don't want to cripple all of our soldiers' readiness. If there will be vaccination and the military will obviously take actions and vaccinate all the soldiers, do you think soldiers will have a chance to say no? Of course not. And Israel is not going to do it because Israel hates its people, because Israel wants to reduce the population of the military. No, that will be vaccination. Like, look, my daughter went to volunteer in Kenya. She needed to take vaccinations against certain diseases that are still going on in Africa. And I didn't even think twice, because I know that she needed to be vaccinated against malaria and Ebola and other things that we don't have those things here, so we don't need to be vaccinated against it. But you must understand, not every vaccination is an evil plot. Vaccination today is a way for you to avoid certain diseases. Now, yes, it's money making. Yes, the pharmaceutical companies make trillions. Yes, sometimes they push vaccinations where you really don't need it. Like the babies, when he's born, I don't think he needs upon his birth anything that will only help him when he's 10 or 13 years old. Stuff like that, I believe it's only for money making. But let's not mix things up. The mark of the beast is not for the believers to be concerned of, because we're not going to be here. The mark of the beast is not about your health. The mark of the beast is a mark with a specific name and a specific purpose. It's to show your allegiance and worship of the beast. And second, without that one, you cannot do trade, you cannot live normal life, you cannot even move from one place to another. This is not the case of a vaccination. People will not be forced to be vaccinated unless they belong to specific groups, such as the military, unless they go to specific countries where you are required to do that by your own country. But if you want to stay home and not be vaccinated, it's your choice. Vaccination, the mark of the beast, there is no choice. The mark of the beast, there is no, luxury to choose. I will or I will. Anyone who will not take it will be beheaded. It's a different story that thankfully is not for the believers. Now, I will be very frank with you. If I will need to take the vaccination for coronavirus in order to travel and teach the word of God and preach the gospel and reach the lost souls, I will do it. Why? Because I know I'm not going to worship the beast. I'm not even going to see the beast. I'm not even going to worry about the tribulation. And I do want to preach the gospel to the last breath that is within me. Now, it's your choice what you want to believe in and what you want to push for, and it's fine with me. But I don't want you to take every little thing and mix it with the mark of the beast. Look, I want to tell you something. You see my phone? This is my phone. My phone has a chip. Your phone has a chip. My credit card has a chip. Your credit card has a chip. My phone has such a chip that every time I say something to my wife, I'm going to see on Facebook the next day some advertising for that specifically. Do you think people don't listen to you? Do you think they don't know where you are? Your phone tells everyone where you are right now. Unless this phone is shattered to pieces, it will still record you. Even if it's turned off, it will record you. I want to tell you something. They might have you wear a bracelet that will hold some chip on the bracelet that will bear your vaccination history. I'm not sure. That doesn't mean to me that I'm worshiping the beast. Will I like it? No. Can I say no to it? Of course, yes. But if I have to choose between, well, if I will test myself and I will see that there is no antibodies, and I will choose to go, and if there is going to be a condition that I won't be able to get on the plane to fly to the Philippines or Japan, Indonesia, Singapore, America, Canada, Brazil, if I won't be able to travel and teach the scriptures, unless I take the vaccination, I'll take it. Oh, they'll know everything about you. They already know everything about me, and I have nothing to hide. Oh, they'll track you. They already track me. The New World Order is not that they track me or not track me. Is that we enter into the point where it's no longer your choice. If I had the privilege of reading whatever I want and choosing whatever I want to believe, the New World Order will dictate to me what to read and eliminate what they don't want me to know. Censorship, dancing to a committee of few people. All over the world, governments are handing over the liberties and freedom of their own people to a group of people. So I need you to understand, folks, the confusion about vaccination shouldn't be there for the believers. We shouldn't be. Now, it's your choice. You can take it or not. That's up to you. I'm just telling you, you're not going to see the Antichrist. You're not going to have to take upon you the mark of the beast. And by the way, as believers, you may say to yourself, oh, I'm not taking the vaccination. That's fine. Okay. But hundreds of millions will. And those hundreds of millions that will see no problem with that. And then when we're gone, they'll say, good ridden, these people are out of here. And they will already psychologically be trained to be marked somehow. Now it's for coronavirus. Tomorrow it's for trade. The next day it's a token of worship. Look, we're not going to be there to worship the beast. And if you need to, if you don't need to, it's up to you. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get on the plane and fly and teach in places they don't have social media, in places where people go to church and that's where they have their thing. Look, I'm telling you, I'm not going to get stuck in this office, four walls, just because, I'm not going to. Look, I need to take vaccinations if I fly to Africa. Anyway, I need to take vaccinations if I fly to certain places in South America. Anyway, so what's the big deal or the great heroic thing to say no to this one? Do I think that I will say yes to Bill Gates' plans? No, I'm not going to let them put anything else beside a regular vaccination. No. But I want to tell you something. Don't throw the baby with the water. It's important that you understand the enemy is trying to confuse you. The enemy is trying to mix everything. And this is the one thing that is so sad for me to see. So sad for me to see. And I want to tell you, folks, what if you have elderly parents and the vaccination will save them from this deadly virus that is mostly attacking old people? Will you tell them not to take it because, God forbid, it reminds you of the mark of the beast? No. Just be realistic. And I need you to understand that it's not about the vaccine, it's about what the vaccine is going in the future, or what the mark in the future is going to be all about. And I want you to also understand that there's going to be a lot of disinformation, a lot of misinformation, a lot of false and fake news. The enemy is celebrating, he's pushing all through social media horrible content to confuse you. And that's why I wanted to end up with this. When we see these things, instead of getting anxiety and fear and confusion, we need to actually smile. We need to actually show the world, look, it's not going to get prettier here. Because it's not. Do I like this new world order where the governments are no longer having their own independent brains to think? I don't like it. But did I see it coming? Of course I did. Do I like the fact that freedoms that I used to have were taken from me, that I'm being told to wear a mask, that I'm being told you cannot enter this store, you cannot enter this school, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, unless you comply with A, B, C, D? I don't like it. But it's here. And I comply because I do have to go and shop for food, and I do have to take my kids to school, and I do have to take a flight to go from A to B, and I do have to do A, B, and C. Look, it's a new world, and there is a new world order. And we better understand that, yes, all the way to the end, you need to fight, but you don't need to fight for the vaccination. You need to fight for the gospel. You need to preach the gospel. You need to share the truth. Get your energy spent on the most important things that will yield fruits for the kingdom of God. And instead of preaching the gospel, all we do all day long is chit-chatting about vaccinations and chit-chatting about this and about that. Look, share the gospel. God blessed us. Look, I hate this new technologies that are, replacing human brains. But thankfully, even though the whole world is locked down, I'm able to speak right now to thousands of people. And that's through technology. So take advantage of the technology. Take advantage of the little time that is left for us here on earth. And I want to tell you something. Every morning, I wake up with the understanding that it is real. I live in the most blessed generation since the time of Jesus Christ. You live in that generation. That generation only, look, the generation of Jesus saw so many prophecies fulfilled within less than 30 years than all generations combined before that. There were promises and promises and promises given by the prophet, and boom, they began to be fulfilled. Boom, 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 in the first century. What a blessed generation of the first century. Now, 2,000 years later, comes another blessed generation. All the promises about Israel and all the promises about Jerusalem and all the promises of the Jewish people were all promised by the prophets, and we are the generation that boom, 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 boom. We see all happening. And that's why the enemy was so angry about Harry Truman and about Donald Trump and about Netanyahu and about all these things. They want to stop it from happening. But the same way good things are happening, according to the prophets, also bad things are happening according to the prophets. And the last time I checked, the Olivet Discourse of the famous prophetic teaching of Jesus was not full of great things, and we're watching it. So when you see those things, lift up your head and look up, because your redemption is drawing near. And when you see the fig tree blooming, Israel is back in the land, that you know summer is near. And it is right at your doorpost. And the generation that will live through that shall never pass away. So I want to give you that hope. We are the generation that shall not pass away. So I don't care if they want to call it the New World Order. And I don't care about this virus and this vaccination. I don't care. Didn't we know a New World Order is going to come? Didn't we know that it's going to be a one world government eventually? Didn't we know they're going that direction? It is here. So why are we so surprised and so depressed and so oppressed and so angry when we knew all along that it's going to happen, that it's going to come? So I want to encourage all of you, hold on to the promises that we have. He's coming very soon, and he's going to take us. This is exactly what I was trying to convey when I wrote my books. The book, The Last Hour, because I believe we indeed live in the last hour. And the book, The Day Approaching, I believe, folks, just like Hebrews 10 says, that we see the day approaching. All of these books are full of the promises of God and the fulfillment of it. So I want to encourage all of you folks, don't let the world destroy the joy of the Lord and the faith and the strength and the peace that we need to have, especially in these last days. If you want to be saved, if you want good, new life, if you want new heart, if you want to make it to heaven, if you want to belong to the Lord, if you want to make it in the rapture, that you need to believe in Jesus, Yeshua, the only way, the only truth, the only life. No one can come to the Father. You have to confess that you're a sinner. You have to admit that you cannot save yourself. You have to give your heart completely to the Lord. Invite Jesus into your heart, and the Holy Spirit will enter into you, and you will be a new creation. And it's very, very soon we are going to be taken out of here. And Damascus will be destroyed. In Ezekiel, war will take place. The Antichrist will introduce peace. The temple will be built in Jerusalem. He will break it and reign from the temple. A third of the Jews will flee and survive, while 2/3 will perish. And then we know that he will bring them back. He will come back with us. They look at him whom they pierce. They will understand. And after those 7 years, the Lord is going to throw the Antichrist and the false prophets and the serpent. He's going to throw them all the way to the bottomless pit. And for 1,000 years, the world will be Satan-free, and we will be under the rule of Jesus from Jerusalem. And at the very end, he will turn him loose for just a few weeks or months, and he will go about and deceive the nations again. And they will come against the beloved ones. And the Lord will destroy Satan now forever. There will be a great white throne of judgment, and then the new Jerusalem will come. And only the believers, Jews and Gentiles, will be part of this wonderful thing. He will make all things new. New heavens and new earth. I have nothing in this world. I'm here to fulfill one thing. Is tell the people that there is only one way if you want to live in the new Jerusalem. And that's through faith in our beloved Messiah. Father, I thank you and I bless you for the people that watch this update, and for all of them that will forward it to as many people as they can. I pray that it will yield fruit for your kingdom. I pray that eyes will be open and hearts will be transformed. Thank you, Father, for everything that you did, you do, and you will be doing in our lives. Thank you for the great promise that you're about to come and take us out of this world. Thank you that you sent Jesus to prepare a place for us, and he will come to take us to be where he is. We bless your name, and we ask this in Jesus' name. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance towards you and give you his shalom, his peace. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. So guys, I want to thank you for everything. I want to show you how you can follow us. You can, as you can see on the screen, you can clearly see you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter on www.beholdisrael.org. You can go to Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Behold Israel. We would love to hear from you. We would love to minister to you. We would love to stay in touch with you and pray for you as well. I'm going to do Zoom Q&As to specific countries every week, so I can see the people and I can have them ask questions themselves. I will start with the Philippines this coming Saturday, 5 p.m. Manila time. We'll send you the link this week. Then I'll move to South Africa, we'll move to the UK, we'll move to Europe, all the way to America and other countries. So thank you guys. God bless you, and shalom from Galilee, from Israel.